All new tonight, we want to dig into an issue that inspires strong feelings about equality, sportsmanship, faith, and fairness in student athletics. The debate whether transgender student athletes in high school and college can compete according to the gender in which they identify. In 2020, 19 states introduced legislation that would require transgender athletes to compete according to the gender assigned at birth. Only one passed. That happened in Idaho. So far this year, state legislatures in 9 states introduced similar proposals. Rudabeh Shabazi talked with athletes on both sides of this issue and has details on some of the rules being proposed in state houses across America. Rudabeh.
Marnie, transgender athletes now have an ally in the White House as they seek to participate in their identified gender in high school and college sports. Although state legislators, Congress, and the courts are all expected to have their say this year, too.
I hope people realize how unfair the situation is, and that I hope that more female athletes will stand up, because eventually female sports might not be a thing anymore if this keeps happening.
Alana Smith is one of 3 high school athletes in Connecticut seeking to block transgender athletes in the state from participating in girls' sports in a lawsuit that was backed by the Trump administration. Smith and the 2 other students, represented by the nonprofit organization Alliance Defending Freedom, argue that transgender female runners have an unfair physical advantage.
It's not about lifestyle, it's strictly about sports. Like, for example, I have a twin brother and he plays sports, but his sports don't revolve around running as mine does. But he could still beat me in a race even though he doesn't train for running like I do.
President Biden immediately reversed course when he took office, issuing an executive order specifically mentioning children and youth sports. Quote, every person should be treated with respect and dignity and should be able to live without fear no matter who they are or whom they love. Children should be able to learn without worrying about whether they'll be denied access to the restroom, the locker room, or school sports. The ACLU is seeking to join in on the lawsuit in Connecticut, saying the complaint is, quote, a dangerous distortion of both law and science in the service of excluding trans youth from public life. One of the transgender student athletes at the center of it, Terry Miller, said in a statement, quote, I have faced discrimination in every aspect of my life, and I no longer want to remain silent. I am a girl and I am a runner. I participate in athletics just like my peers to excel, find community and meaning in my life. I have known 2 things for most of my life. I am a girl and I love to run, said another transgender student, Andrea Yearwood. This is what keeps me going. Every day I train hard. I work hard to succeed on the track, to support my teammates, and to make my community proud. The Connecticut case and another in Idaho could go a long way in determining whether transgender athletes are treated as the sex on their birth certificates or by how they identify. Last year, bills to restrict transgender athletes' participation according to their gender assigned at birth were introduced in 19 states, although only Idaho's became law. It, too, was supported by the Trump administration, but blocked from implementation by a federal judge, while a legal challenge by the ACLU proceeds.
Trans athletes have always been here, and I just feel like now that we have somebody that is behind our community and that also is in office, we are able to finally take the proper steps that we can in order to do the things that we love to do.
For teen athletes like Mac Beggs, named Mackenzie at birth, who feel they were born in the wrong body, it's a hopeful time. Beggs transitioned from female to male in high school, winning 2 state championships in co-ed wrestling, and has continued competitive wrestling in college.
And as we're living our lives, like, we don't care about what anybody else thinks about us. We just want to do the sport that we love without any criticism.
The Alliance Defending Freedom advocates for the, quote, right of people to freely live out their faith. Smith and her attorney say allowing transgender athletes to compete robs other girls of trophies and scholarships and is a step back for women's rights.
For example, at the regional meet, I came in 3rd place in the 200 meter because one of the biological males came in first. So I know that I would have gotten runner-up, which is what the place I deserved.
The ACLU says the issue has never been about protection, but rather exclusion. And the idea that women and girls have an advantage because they're trans ignores the actual conditions of their lives. The organization says 22% of trans youth were harassed so badly they had to leave school.
Love and acceptance goes a long way.
18 states allow transgender participation with certain conditions like hormone treatments or other proof that the athlete is transitioning. It may ultimately fall to Congress to clarify once and for all whether Title IV, the civil rights law that guarantees equal opportunities for women and girls in education, protects or bars participation of transgender females in women's sports. A federal judge has scheduled a hearing for February 26th on the request to dismiss that Connecticut lawsuit. Marnie?